Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to Mike on the Mic, everything Chicago sports related podcast. We have an amazing show for you guys tonight. We are streaming right now on Facebook, Fox D Network Sports Show. We're on TikTok Live right now, so if you're checking it out from TikTok, I got mad love and appreciation for the entire TikTok following. It's been incredible to see you guys joining the community, and it's just so much fun. And if you haven't already, definitely check out Mike on the Mic podcast on all streaming platforms. You can find me on the All Sports All Plays network as well. Definitely check me out there. We're talking today. It's been a crazy day. It's been a crazy 24 hours, and we're not done yet. There's less than 24 hours left until the MLB trade deadline is over. There's been a lot of moves, and I know Yankees fans everywhere are just super excited. I mean, it's insane to me to see how exciting it is right now, and it's definitely something that you didn't think was going to happen. When I think about Frankie Montas and the Oakland A's, a big name for me were teams like the San Diego Padres, were like the New York Mets, were like the St. Louis Cardinals, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Chicago White Sox, even the Toronto Blue Jays, I thought had a great shot at getting Frankie. The New York Yankees getting Frankie Montas is one of the craziest things I have seen in quite some time. And I truly believe that they are able to go tick for tack with just about anybody in this league now when they are fully healthy. Play Ram Ranch. I don't know what that means, but did I just say something I wasn't supposed to say? Is that like a negative thing? I'm reading the comments right now for everybody that might not know. I don't know what Ram Ranch means, but with that being said, it's something to where with Frankie Montas and really just looking at him joining the New York Yankees, I think obviously health has always been huge with the New York Yankees. It's been setting them back for years. Judge, Stanton, Gleiber, Gary Sanchez every single season, so it's definitely something that they're really lucky this season so far, and it's obviously still early. Injuries can definitely happen. It's August 2nd when we're recording this at 12 something a.m. But it's definitely something right now where you have to look at this team as constructed, adding in Frankie to that rotation with Severino and Garrett Cole and company. They are in the running right now to win the World Series. I truly believe that. I don't think making it is the goal. I think winning it is the goal right now. And I understand that's a lot to say for a team that's never even been there, and at least this team. Obviously, there's a Yankee fans in the comments right now that'll tell me that they have 27 rings. But this team as constructed, really, there's only a couple champions on this team: Anthony Rizzo, Aroldis Chapman, and Garrett Cole. I think other than that, I can't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't really think of anybody else that's really a part of that. Which is the best right now? Forrest Gump, Green Mile, 51st Dates, Hancock, Click, or Step Brothers. I'm a big Step Brothers guy. I think Step Brothers is an amazing movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever, so I do actually appreciate that comment. We don't get a lot of those. Step Brothers is a kick-ass movie, and I think it's definitely underrated, and it was my childhood, so it's always something I'm always gonna remember. But with that being said, like we're talking about with Frankie, they really gave up the farm. And they even gave up a top 7 prospect to the Chicago Cubs for Scott Efros, who is a great reliever. Don't get it twisted. But throughout his career, has he been a great reliever? That is yet to be seen. And obviously, being 28 years of age, you kind of understand like this is where he's going to peak, and there hasn't really been much else going on other than that. The move so far, though, I mean, they've been incredible. So we're gonna break it down all the way from the beginning. Just a couple of days ago, Christian Martin gets traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is a pretty solid move. They definitely did need a couple of bullpen just additions, and I think a lot of people think it's underrated. A lot of people think it wasn't that big of a move, but you're looking at right now second baseman Zach McKinstry adding to the Chicago Cubs. He just didn't have a role on that current team. Should the Angels trade Ohtani, I think it's going to come down to that. I don't think it's going to be this trade deadline, but I think this winter, they're definitely going to have to sit down with him and have that conversation. Do you want to remain here? Because that was one of the biggest things, not to get off topic. But one of the biggest things for Shohei and why he signed with the Angels was because he loved the atmosphere and he loved the individual state. I don't think he wanted to stay in warm weather. He didn't give a shit about the actual Angels and Mike Trout. That was one of the biggest things. So I'm looking at it like that, and you have to have the understanding of, okay, now you've been here for a few years. Are you still going to be able to have this conversation right now to where we're sitting here and you're happy? Like how much money are you even going to be worth? They already are paying, Anthony Rendon a pretty penny. You're already paying Mike Trout over $400 million. Can you afford to pay Shohei Ohtani? That's the biggest question right now. And what are you going to get for him? I think when you look at the market for Shohei, that's one of the biggest things to me is really understanding, like, what is this guy worth? Because, I mean, you're one of the greatest pitchers. You're one of the greatest hitters. Like, you can do it both ways. And that's been so mind-boggling to even understand as a player and what their worth is, especially not even just from a trade value standpoint, but from a market standpoint. I mean, if you're talking about Mike Trout making $500 million and this kid has an under 200, sub ERA, like that's insane. An under 2 sub ERA is a phenomenon. And to be able to do that and then rake over 30 home runs in a season, to me, I'm looking at this kid and I'm like, you have to trade the entire farm and then a couple studs along with that. And I think that's one of the biggest issues right now with them is really trying to understand, like, are teams even willing to do that? Because then what would you have? Like, let's break it down from the Dodgers standpoint. If the Dodgers were to trade for Shohei Ohtani, you're giving up everybody. Like, you're giving up not only your entire farm, I guess, you don't care if you part ways with Cody Bellinger at this point because of how he's been performing since his MVP season. But when you really look at it, you got to give up Justin Turner. You got to probably give up Walker Buehler. You got to give up whatever. And I know some people might not agree with that, but Shohei Ohtani is worth that. And that's the craziest part about it is you don't know what his value is. We've never really seen something like that before. So where I don't think we're going to see that within the next 24 hours, I would love to see that. And as much as I'm a diehard Cubs fan, always will be. But I heard the White Sox did make an offer and a pretty huge offer for Shohei Ohtani. Now, what does that mean? Like, for the White Sox standards of what a huge offer might be, it could have just been Eloy and a couple, top 20 prospects, but low end is at that. And you never know with the Reinsdorfs and Rick Hahn, but it's definitely something to where if they truly are in it, I would give up the entire farm to see Shohei Ohtani play against Seiya Suzuki in the Crosstown Classic every year. Like, that would be phenomenal. I mean, I would love to see it. But we're looking at the bigger trades throughout today. I think there's a lot of moves that are going to continue to be made. There are some minor ones, but to get into the big ones, obviously the Cubs get a top 7 prospect, automatically ends up a number 8 overall prospect for the Chicago Cubs organization, Hayden Wiesinski, pardon me. I always get the skis messed up. I don't know why. But, we trade Scott over there, and I think that's going to be a great move. But they obviously weren't done. You're looking at them right now for what they got in Oakland. You're looking at J.P. Sears, Ken Wataluchu, Luis Mendia, and Cooper Bowman. And those are, I think, 2 or 3 of their top 10 prospects. I butchered a hell of those names. I'm sorry. I can't. It's hard to read. But you get Frankie Matas and Lou Trevino. And I think that's one of the biggest things right now for me when you look at the Yankees is, you're giving up your farm, and that's understandable. But the biggest thing is what's going to happen with Judge, because Judge's value is continuing to rise. They're literally just watching this guy do his thing. And I truly do believe that, at the end of the day, this guy is going to be solid. And not to get off topic, but we are answering questions on the live. This is one of those special episodes where we could just free ball and have a conversation. Thoughts on Tevin Jenkins trade rumors? From what I'm hearing, and I have a lot of guys who are at camp right now that work for various networks and who are former Chicago Bears members and front office guys. It's not Dave Kaplan. It's not Woj or somebody like that. But I will say I do trust my guys. And from what I'm hearing is this kid, it's very early. He's a very young man. I'm gonna start off and say it like that. He's a very young man, and maturity comes and goes throughout somebody's life. I feel like there's a lot of times where you have to recognize yourself and realize you're not bigger than everybody else. But from what I'm hearing at this very current moment is that Tevin Jenkins has maturity issues. Tevin Jenkins has an issue with just listening and understanding his role and what we're doing. I think one of the biggest things to me is what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Do you want to just be the guy who was drafted in the second round and never became anything? Or are you trying to really be a role and be a juggernaut on this team? Because Tevin Jenkins was one of the last picks for the Ryan Pace era. And what pisses me off the most about that is, like, even though Ryan Pace is gone, he's kicking us while we're down right now because Tevin's not panning out. And it's huge if Tevin doesn't pan out, because right now you're looking at Larry Borum, you're looking at an aging Cody Whitehair, you're looking at Braxton, who everybody's really excited about. But I definitely do think it's definitely worrisome. And I think if this kid really doesn't want to figure that out and really doesn't want to have a role on this team, no matter what that role is, if you're not down to play football at the end of the day, just because you're not an offensive tackle and you get moved at the guard spot or vice versa, whatever it may be, then we don't have a room. We don't have a room for you. And that's really what I love about Matt Eberflus is he's a cutthroat kind of guy to that regard. If you're not putting in the work and you're not respecting yourself or this team, you're gone. Is cereal a soup? I've had a lot of conversations like this, and for me personally, I say no. And I'm gonna say no because one of my biggest things about that is soup is normally hot, and you don't heat up like cereal and milk. So I think to each their own, because I'm not gonna, if that's what y'all feel, that's what y'all feel. But my personal opinion is if you don't heat it up, um, it can't be a soup, man. Like that's ridiculous. I don't think that makes sense. But I think there's a lot of things that go on here with Tevin, and I think maturity, like I said, is a big part of it. I'm 22, so who am I to say anything about maturity? Because I'm flip flopping every day between how I feel about the world. But I definitely do think that Tevin might be able to figure this out. It's just growing pains right now, and if it doesn't, then that's exactly what we want. We want to weed out the bad apples who can't handle this mentality, who can't handle this cutthroat military style team. That's what you want. You want guys who are going to die for you. You want guys who are going to bleed and bleed orange and blue. Like that's really what it is. And I think at the end of the day, if this kid's not willing to do that, it's different if you're a Hall of Famer and you're asked to move to a guard position. Kid, you've played less than 8 games. You've done nothing. You've already had a back surgery. Like we're trying to figure this out to help you progress. And that's where I'm like, I if that's how he feels, then fuck it. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Get what you can for him. Get a Washington, get a Chenault, get a Rager from Philly now that they have Smith and AJ Brown. If you can get another wide receiver for Tevin Jenkins or even like a 3rd, 4th round pick, which I doubt, but I would say probably a 4th to 5th. I think that's perfectly fine with me because again, Ryan Poles didn't draft this kid. Will Roquan get signed? Well, he's definitely getting signed. I think the question is he going to get re-signed with the Chicago Bears? One of the biggest things for me when you look at Roquan Smith, this thing turned into a Bears podcast, by the way. We were talking about MLB, but fuck it. We're doing what we want. And to me, the thing with Roquan Smith is, man, he wants to set the market. He deserves to set the market. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people want this guy to kind of be himself and to kind of be there and be present and just be that top 5, top 10 linebacker in this league that we know he can be statistically. I think about Roquan is his age. I think when you look at where this team is, and Tevin Jenkins, again, plays a role into this because you're rebuilding everything. You don't know what you have in Tevin Jenkins. You don't know what you have in Cole Kmet. You don't know what you have in a couple other individuals like Eddie Jackson who just decided they don't know how to tackle anymore. So there's a lot of different ways that this can go and this can transpire. And I think one of the biggest things right now for me is what can this team be moving forward? And how long is it going to take for us to succeed? I think that's a problem, and that's something we haven't really addressed. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot of things going on. But it's definitely something right now to where we can use all of this money in 2023 to really run the board. If we can get guys in here. And I think that's something right now to where if we can re-sign Roquan Smith for the next 5 years, I'm all for it. And I don't really care how old he's going to be during the final year of his contract because he's still relatively young anyways. It doesn't really matter. It's something to me to where you need that cornerstone. I've seen Roquan in camp so far. I've heard people talking about how he looks in camp. I've heard people who have seen him at parties. He's denying beer. He's denying liquor. He's denying stuff that's bad for his body. He wants to be the most fit he can, and he wants to be in the best position possible to just be great. And like this comment says, it's mostly about the future. That's huge. I think that's huge about it as well, too, because you have to understand what is going to attract these free agents. Justin Fields, who I love, but is also unproven. You look at Darnell Mooney, who's great. He had a great season, a breakout year. But as the wide receiver one going into this year, what is that going to look like? Obviously, David Montgomery, who's coming on a contract extension too, and we don't know what's going to happen with him because of Khalil Herbert and a couple other great running backs who I've seen at camp on tape. And my buddy Allen, who's been at camp this entire time, spoke very highly of the entire running back room. So I think that's running back by committee. I'm really excited to see that. But again, I think that's something right now with the Chicago Bears that needs to be addressed. I got another comment right here. Where do you think Juan Soto is going to go? I think one of the biggest things about Juan right now and what we're really trying to understand and comprehend with Juan Soto is what is he worth? And to me personally, the kid's worth the world. I mean, you're talking about a kid who's only 23 years old, been in this league 5 years, and you're really having that conversation. I will get to this Jones comment in a second, I promise. You're looking at a kid who always is already batting 293, who is great defensively, has already won a World Series, batted 333 in the World Series his rookie year. Like, this is a guy that you want to give up the world to. And I think it's kind of like a conversation like Shohei, though. You want to win, and he wants to win. You have him on lock for the next 2.5 years, but are you going to win a World Series within those 2 years? I think that's where it all matters. Because if you're not really contending and you're not ready for that, that's why I think the Dodgers and the Padres are in the best position farm system wise. The Cardinals are in a situation to where, Goldie and Arenado are solid, but would they be World Series favorites if they got Juan Soto? I still think that rotation needs a little bit of work. Comment right here. Do you think the Cubs should just get a team management and, I think the Cubs are in a really good spot right now. I love what we're doing. We're just adding top 10 prospects for relievers right now. And that's great. And, we finessed them for Pete Crow Armstrong. We finessed them for a bunch of other guys. I'm really excited about it. Another comment I see Velus Jones would do in his first year. I think I've been hearing a lot about that. And I'm going to break it down like this, because even though I'm wearing an Ole Miss jersey right now, I am a Tennessee Volunteers fan. Shout out In Off the Bench podcast if you haven't checked it out already. They are the best college baseball and college sports podcast in the game. I'm a co-host on there from time to time, and they do amazing work. Jim Cross, Randy Jowers, and DB, they do amazing work. So definitely check them out on all streaming platforms. If you want post-game interviews, if you want, life stories about your favorite college athletes, it's amazing. I'm not even trying to feed that to you guys, but watching Jones, and it's where all this was going, watching Jones in Tennessee, I think I see a lot of a young Tyreek Hill in Jones. I think what I mean by that is he's a Swiss Army knife kind of guy. I think a special teams guy at first, but I definitely think he can be that guy who can give you a good screen pass, who can give you a good route, a good hitch, a good corner. I think he's that kind of guy who can get across the field very easily. I'm really excited to see his explosiveness and really just moving with Darnell Mooney and Pringle. I think that's going to be huge. I do not believe in N'Keal Harry. Again, though, if N'Keal Harry gives anything to us, it's a win, because it's a seventh round pick. Who gives a fuck? Like, that's the reality of the situation. So I do think that it's going to be something right now that, Velus is going to have definitely some growing pains, but I've been hearing really good things from camp, from my buddy Allen about him. He's been very impressive. And I think that's huge. Now, right here, my boy Nico is going to be a huge beast for Tennessee, without a shadow of a doubt, Andre. I think this kid is going to put Tennessee back on the map, and I think it's really exciting. And I can't wait to check that out. But with that being said, kind of like a Cordell Patterson in some regard, yes. I think Cordell is that legitimate Swiss Army knife to where, you could put him at the running back position and feel kind of confident about it. And that's really where, with Jones, he's not really built for the running back position. Cordell is just a beast. Cordell is a beast. Herbert or Burrow, I'm going to tell you something right now. When it comes to drip, Burrow, 110%. And I love Burrow. I got mad love for Burrow. I don't want anybody to think that there is Burrow slander here. But my biggest thing right now that nobody talks about is Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert, I would take him over Joe Burrow in a heartbeat. And the reason for that is when you look at the team constructed, when you look at the horrible coaching decisions that the Los Angeles Chargers have made in recent years. And if you haven't followed NFL Mike on TikTok already, he's a good friend of mine, huge Chargers fan. You look at Herbert having over 5,000 yards last season thrown. This kid is a phenomenon. Like, this kid could be better than Josh Allen, could be better than Patrick Mahomes if they put the right people around him. This kid is he's legit. He is him, as everybody's starting to say on Instagram and Twitter. I've been seeing he is him, and I think Herbert is that dude. I love Joey B. I think he does amazing things, but from a talent perspective, I have to give the edge to Justin Herbert. He's a dog. 100%. He is him. 100%. Randy Jowers, we were just talking about you, baby. If you haven't seen him, the man who just wrote He Is Him, give him a follow on TikTok right now. You will see the best in off the bench interviews, the best softball workout videos. That is my guy from In Off the Bench. He is him, Randy Jowers, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Randy, we were just talking about Velus Jones. If you're not if you just got in here, we were just talking about Velus Jones at Tennessee and how he's going to perform for the Chicago Bears this year. Kind of thinking about a Deebo Samuel type young Tyreek Hill, maybe an early on Devin Hester type conversation. Not from a special teams perspective with the Devin Hester comparison, but more so, this guy can kind of do a little bit of everything for you. Super excited about it. My guy said Velus is a dog. Y'all will love him. Super excited about that. Somebody commented, "Go Brewers," and his username is Packers Go. Good night. Please leave. But no, I'm kidding. But it's all love, bro. But it's something to where I think it's definitely going to be a conversation with Justin Herbert, like we were saying. I got mad love for Joey B, but I think Justin Herbert's time is coming. I think I was one of those guys. I wanted them to draft Jalen Waddle so bad. Keenan Allen and Jalen Waddle for Justin Herbert would have been huge, but he didn't even need him. He didn't even need him. You're looking at Austin Eckler and company and bringing in Khalil Mack, bringing in Joey Bosa, bringing in one of the best corners in the game in JC. I truly do look at this team right now. If they can win some games, I think statistically, if Justin Herbert even does the same exact season as he did last year, he wins MVP. I think that's the conversation. I mean, I think that's just my view. That's just how I feel about it. Herbert for MVP, yeah, 100%. And I'm not trying to sit here and act like he's bigger than he is. I'm not going to sit here and say he's the best quarterback in the league, but he's well on his way. And I'm a huge Josh Allen fan, but I would even say, he's got the makeup to be even better than Josh Allen or anybody else in this league. If I'm being unbiased, Fields is going to be good. I appreciate that. Packers go. I got mad love for that. And I'll be unbiased back with you, and I'm going to be completely honest about it. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is still one of the best quarterbacks in this league. I saw a couple people on Twitter say he wasn't even a top 10 quarterback, and honestly, I blocked him because I do not have room for that. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers is good, but should not have won MVP 2 times. I think he deserved it to an extent. I think my personal vote was Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor and what he was bringing to the game. I say Bears still shouldn't have gotten Olave. Oh, they should have gotten Olave. He would have been amazing as a Bear. Yeah, I felt that as well. The unfortunate circumstance with that is we just didn't have the first round pick. And, if we did, I truly do believe maybe not a top 5 pick, we wouldn't have got Olave, but it definitely would have been a situation to where we're having this conversation of if we're picking, let's say, 15 to 25 range in the first round, I think Chris Olave 110%, because you're looking at the connection between Jamar Chase and Joey Burrow right now. Joe Burrow. I don't know why I called him Joey. And then you're looking at Chris Olave and Justin Fields. Like, that would have been a beautiful thing. So it's really unfortunate that it didn't go down that way. But it's definitely Destiny. I don't know if you're in here, but I'm live right now. She just texted me if I'm live right now. I am live right now, Destiny. I appreciate you texting me that instead of calling me or something. We can't have the negativity in our lives. Aaron is still top tier for show. Hell yeah, Randy. I completely agree with that. I think there's so much going on with Aaron Rodgers outside of football that I feel like everything gets ignored. And I hate that because I love him as a player. It's one of those things, you grow up to hate him, but you have to love him because, that's why you hate him, is because he's so good. Yadier Molina, to me, I hated Yadi growing up because he would just destroy the Cubs every chance he got. Randy knows. Randy's a huge Cardinals fan. And everybody in the comments who's questioning if this is a Cardinals jersey, this is an Ole Miss jersey. I got that a while ago before they even won. So I just thought it looked cool. It looked clean. But it's definitely something to where I look at this Aaron Rodgers situation, oh, well, he's dating a witch, whatever that means. He's dating a banshee. Everybody says that. Man, That has nothing to do with anything, bro. Like, if he dates a girl who believes in moon rocks and believes in, whatever she believes in, like, I don't care. Like, can he throw the rock? Is what really matters. Um, Powder blue looks good on you, my guy. I appreciate that. That's all love. Randy always hypes me up, man. And I got Destiny in here. I'm definitely in here, she said, right now. Destiny, I appreciate you. We are going on vacation soon. I'm super excited about it, and I promise I'm not canceling on y'all. I will be there. I'm super excited about it. This trip is going to be the best trip all summer, and I can't wait for it. But I'm super excited you guys are here. Man, y'all, this is why I love the community, though, because this episode, late night episode, we got the MLB trade deadline. We got all this crazy stuff going on. We got Randy saying JT for MVP, 110%, 110%. Oh my God. Watching that kid in Wisconsin was, it was like I felt like I was the only dude. Like, you're watching Wisconsin games. It would, because sometimes my Clemson Tigers would get blacked out. I couldn't watch Trevor Lawrence. It would be a blackout restriction for whatever reason. I don't really know, but it's also because I'm a cheap ass and I don't pay for the entire package, so I do kind of know. But I just like to bitch about it. But it's something to where I just turned on a Wisconsin game, and it was one of the first games of the year. And Jonathan Taylor was just, I mean, what a phenomenon. And I was like, man, if this kid can end up in anything other than an NFC North team, aside from the Bears, like if as long as he's not a Packer, a Viking, or a Detroit Lion, I'm buying this dude's jersey. And he's my first jersey I'm gonna buy once I start my new job, once I start the new gig. Super excited about that. But I'm really excited about it. I am surprised Malik Williams went down. I'm really not. I think the thing about Malik is, what is your ceiling? And I think when you look at everybody else in this league, and I'm going to break it down like this, because I respect Malik as a man and I respect him as a player. But when you look at the situation of the league, I got a little pen, so I'm going to pretend to write something. When you look at NFC North, NFC South, whatever it may be, AFC South, AFC North, West, East, whatever it may be, and look at the individuals who truly need a quarterback right now, I would say confidently, there's probably 3 teams in this league that really need a quarterback. And I think the problem is you're not going to force one. You're not going to force one when you look at what next year's draft class is going to look like. That's a big thing about the scouting departments. That's a big thing about, guys whose job it is to understand who's going to be in the 2027, Archie Manning first round draft. That's not going to be 2027, I don't think, but it's just an example. Kids who are 17 right now who look like one of the best players to ever walk God's green earth in a high school, you're looking at that as the Seattle Seahawks, and you're kind of like, do I go for Malik Willis right now? Do I go for him? Or are we going to sit here, stay pat, and let's focus on next year? Get what you can for Russell Wilson. Let's not force anything. Let's not bring in Jimmy G. Let's not bring in a Baker Mayfield. Let's just be us and see what happens. I think Carolina did the best thing possible. Kind of having that quarterback competition between Sam and Baker. And then you bring in Matt Corral just for the fuck of it, just in case those two don't work out. It's like, well, we got Matt. Let's see if he turns into anything. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, no hards, no feelings. You know what I mean? Hot take, Archie isn't a top 10 draft pick. Here's why I tell you why you're wrong. The name brand is everything. LeBron James' son, Bronny James. We're not going to talk about Bryce James. Bryce James is 15 years old and 6'6". That man is fucking insane. He is going to be better than Bronny, and he could be the next LeBron James. That's my hot take. But when you look at Bronny James, he gets all these offers from UNC, from Duke, from Kentucky, so on and so forth. Why? Because of the name brand. And Randy, you already know. I don't got to tell you. That's just my opinion. I think you're just going to get in there just to get in there. And if he even has a somewhat decent college career, that's the conversation. We got Destiny in here. I know zero about this all. LOL, but so cool to see you in your element, dude. Keep doing your thing. God bless you and all that you're doing. Destiny, I love you. I love you. I love Chuchai. They're the if y'all don't know, they are the greatest couple in the world. And also, if you don't know, Chuchai streams. If you're not following them already, I have to write it down first because I know how to spell it, but I always mess it up when I say it. It's CHU space Chai. If you don't know already, go on Facebook right now. Check out Chuchai streams. He is the best Fortnite player in the game. I mean, this kid is insane. He's also a hooper for real. I mean, this guy, one of the greatest individuals ever. He has an amazing girlfriend in Destiny, who is an amazing, strong, independent woman herself. I watch these two every single day grow, and that's why you gotta have your friend group. You gotta have your friend group that is just determined to win and determined to be better and better themselves. They make me want to be better. They make me strive for greatness. We also go on somewhat expensive trips, so I kind of have to be great, otherwise I can't keep up. But that's just a joke. But I think, watching Chuchai move the way he's moved, and watching, Destiny, make it through college and get all their stuff done, like it's inspiring, man. And I appreciate all the love and from everybody all the time, even you guys in the comments. What do you think about Daz Newsome? Think he could be anything? Here's the thing about Daz, and I hope you're still in here because I want to answer that. If you haven't already, I just keep promoting the homies. If you haven't already, check out Bears Nation podcast. My best friend since the first grade, Kevin Lopka. He does amazing work over there. He's actually interviewed Daz Newsome, so definitely check them out. But the thing about Daz is, no, I don't. I really don't see Daz Newsome really being there yet. And I think he's going to be a good role player. I watched him a lot at UNC, and I really didn't see you being a one or a two. You know what I mean? Like on a championship caliber team, let's not even say championship. Let's say playoff caliber team. I don't see you being a 1, 2, or a 3 on this team. And I think that's a big part of it to why we even traded for N'Keal Harry, is because you don't believe that Daz Newsome's really going to be that guy. Now, if he does, that's amazing. But if he doesn't, it's like, it is what it is. Any big trades in the MLB yet? Dude, of course. Of course, we got all the trades for you guys right now. Let me pull it up on my computer. If you guys can't see me when I do this, I truly do apologize. Frankie Montas is going to the New York Yankees. I mean, that is insane. And one of the craziest things, now, I haven't heard what's going to be in the return for Boston, but the Boston Red Sox traded Christian Valquez to the Houston Astros today. And the craziest fucking thing about all of it was they were playing each other. Like, Christian was literally in his Boston Red Sox jersey, in his uniform, ready to take the field to play this game, and they traded him to the team he's playing against. Like, that's mind-boggling to me. And, obviously, the reporters, I'm a reporter, man, and I do a lot of work. Is inviting me to go live? Who's inviting me to go live? I don't know who this is. No, I don't know who this is. I wish I knew who this was. But my biggest thing about it is, when I look at this team and I look at them moving the way they move, if I'm Christian, I'm like, bro, give me my Houston Astros jersey right now. You're going to trade me during the game. You're going to trade me during the game. I'll suit up right now and I'll catch for them today. Now, obviously, you can't do that. And from a media perspective, like I was saying before, I got the live thing. My biggest issue with that is this man just found out he was getting traded literally 5 minutes before the game. And you're sitting here asking him how he feels about it. You're sitting here asking him, oh, well, what do you think about this, and that? Like, dude, let the man process. Like, and people that don't know, I report for the Chicago Sky. I sit there, I talk to Candace Parker, Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Dana Evans, Rebecca Gardner, so on and so forth, every other day. Like, I'm at every game and I interview them every post game. And that's something, to me, there needs to be a mutual respect from a human being standpoint, I think, and not to get too deep into it, but if God forbid hell froze over and Courtney Vandersloot was traded from the Chicago Sky after spending her entire career here, the first thing I'm going to do is walk up to her and say, hey, how do you feel? Like, that was mad out of pocket. I think, obviously, you let the man collect his thoughts, you let the man get situated, and then by all means, do what you got to do, because it is your job as a reporter. And that's always their excuse. Well, this is my job. I understand, but this is his, and he just lost it, and he's getting traded to Houston, and he's but he lives in Boston. Like, if you have a family, that's an entire thing. So I think there's a lot that goes into that. I'm not going to get too deep into it. And like I said, that's messed up. It's definitely messed up. It's definitely messed up from a front office perspective. But it's also messed up from that conversation of, I wouldn't have played him. I wouldn't have played him at all. I wouldn't have told him that you were playing today. I would have said, when the Cubs traded the core, Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez, they played their final game, and then that was it. They didn't play a couple other games while they were getting moved. And you had that understanding that they were going to get moved. But that's my biggest thing. I don't know. I think it's just a mad disrespect. A couple other trades going on. Obviously, we're still waiting to hear the biggest move of them all in Juan Soto. A couple relievers were traded. One of the biggest ones to me, which is insane, was Josh Hader got moved for Taylor Rogers, he's a solid closer. He's got the same ERA as Josh Hader, but the difference between Josh Hader and Taylor Rogers, let's break it down for what it is. Now, obviously, he's had a rough month of July for Josh Hader. You know, he gives up 16 runs in 3 games. But aside from those 16 runs in those 3 games, I if I'm not mistaken, he's given up 3 runs all year outside of that. So let's say in a total, he's given up 19 runs, and 16 of them came in a span of 3 days. So he went through a rough patch in July, and that's understandable. He's still one of the best in the game. They get a couple solid pieces like Robert Gasser, Gaser, who is a top prospect in the San Diego Padres, organization, and you get a couple other solid pieces in Taylor as well. I don't think this was the great move for the Milwaukee Brewers when it comes to a standpoint of contending right now, especially if Juan Soto ends up in a St. Louis Cardinals uniform. Even if he doesn't, I think they can walk away with that. I think there's going to be a lot of things that go on, and there's a lot of conversations that people can have, kind of just saying how they felt about this. And I think San Diego, in my opinion, wins this trade, especially if they can find a way to get, Juan Soto. Then you have Josh Hader and Juan Soto, the best closer in baseball and one of the best talents and young pieces in baseball. So with Fernando Tatis Jr. coming back very soon. So I'm super excited about that. How do you feel about tomorrow? Hope Arduri to Braves. Hap to Braves. Sorry, I thought that said Hope. Hap to the Braves makes the most sense to me. You lose Jock Peterson, you lose a couple other pieces, and Ronald, pardon me, I had a tongue twister there. Ronald Acuna Jr. has this issue right now with his manager, kind of just a disconnect, I feel like. That's one of the biggest things for me right now is kind of understanding how healthy is Ronald going to be, how healthy is Ozzie going to be, and bringing in Ian, who's a switch hitter, who was an all-star this year, definitely could be huge for them. I also think a team to be on the lookout for Ian Happ is the Toronto Blue Jays. My guy Dustin and I were talking about that earlier. I think they could definitely use him. They could definitely use the switch hitting bat. I'm super excited about it. What do you think about Devin Williams? I think he is underrated. Devin Williams is one of those interesting conversations. I think the thing about Devin Williams, and why people don't talk about him the most, I'm looking at his stats right now. I'm going to pull it up. I just think he doesn't shock you. You know what I mean? Like, he's not that name guy who's going to throw over 100 miles per hour. But I think when you really look at it, with Taylor Rogers underperforming the way he has, I do think Devin Williams does have potential to be that closer. I think they definitely could throw him in the mix to be a potential closer and have Taylor kind of be that setup man. But is he willing to do that? I don't know, because like my guy said, you're looking at, this is a hitter's park and not a pitcher's park. So I think that's definitely something you need to take into consideration. Josh Hader, was down for wherever he was pitching, whether that be at the Green Monster, whether that be in Milwaukee, like he was there and he was ready to go, whether that be in New York, he was there and he was ready. That's one of my biggest things right now is I think they kind of jumped the gun on the Hader thing, and they still have him for the 2023 season as well under control. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys for always listening. It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys tonight. We're going to be back breaking new videos of Wilson Contreras gets moved. Super excited about that. Ian Happ, Juan Soto, whatever the case may be, we are going to be back at it. Tomorrow is going to be a very busy day, and I am super excited about it. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Hughes from Mike on the Mic. Follow me on all streaming platforms if you can. You can check the link in my bio. If you're on the TikTok right now, you can find the Instagram, and you can find me anywhere on Instagram, Facebook at Mike Hughes or at Mike Huggies. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys for being in here. It's all love all the time. I'll catch y'all tomorrow on the next one. And again, be safe. I think one of the biggest things for that moving forward, Juan Soto, baby, Cubs. That's all I'm going to end this on. It's not happening, but